Hello and welcome to the very first episode of the TCG Summit podcast. I'm Chris and I chair the TCG Summit, the leading international conference for electrical retail. With this new podcast series, we want to bring you key insights and discussions from this year's TCG Summit in Copenhagen directly to you, our TCG community. Our aim is simple: to keep you updated with the latest developments, fresh perspectives and inspiration from the topics shaping our industry. From new technologies and changing consumer behavior to brands, services, data and AI. From now on, every first and third Tuesday of the month, we want to publish a new episode for you. Today, we start with the overarching theme of this year's summit, Agentic AI. As we all know, AI is moving beyond passive tools and becoming an active force that could reshape the customer journey. So, let's begin with one key question. What will Agentic AI mean for the future of electrical retail? Let's get started.
Imagine spending literally millions of dollars perfectly designing your company's e-commerce website.
Right, getting the UI just perfect.
Exactly. Optimizing every single pixel of that user journey, only to realize that, well, by next year, your highest paying customers might never look at a single page of it ever again.
Which is just wild to think about.
It really is. Because the traditional search bar is just, it's dead.
Welcome to the deep dive. We are bypassing the usual pleasantries today because we are looking at an absolute tidal wave tearing through the digital economy right now. And that is agentic AI in the global retail landscape.
Yeah. And I think it's important to state up front, we are not talking about hypothetical futures here.
Right.
We are looking at the immediate, pretty brutal reality of how global commerce is fundamentally restructuring itself, like as we speak.
Yeah. And to map this out for you, we got our hands on the insights from an exclusive, really high-level industry panel discussion. The sources are incredibly stacked.
Oh, totally. It was a powerhouse panel. Right. We're looking at firsthand accounts from a top executive at Miracle, and they power massive enterprise marketplaces globally, plus the head of commercial for EMEA at Electrolux, which, is the world's largest manufacturer of home appliances.
Yeah, massive scale.
And the purchasing director from Coolblue, a massively innovative European electronics retailer. So our mission today is to break down exactly how agentic AI is rewriting the entire retail playbook.
From the website you browse all the way down to the back office supply chain.
Exactly. And for you listening, whether you are running a retail empire, managing a supply chain, or honestly, you're just someone who buys groceries online, this deep dive is going to explain the hidden mechanics of how your digital world is changing.
But before we go any further, I feel like we really need to clarify what we actually mean by agentic AI.
Oh, definitely. Because people just think of ChatGPT, right?
Exactly. For the last few years, everyone has gotten used to generative AI. You type in a prompt and it generates text or an image. It's passive.
You have to push the button every time.
Right. But agentic AI is an entirely different beast. An agent has autonomy.
Okay.
You give it an overarching goal and it breaks that goal down into steps, uses external software tools to execute those steps, evaluates its own work, and then iterates until the goal is achieved, all without a human constantly prompting it.
I mean, that's the difference between a smart dictionary and an actual digital employee.
Exactly. And to set the stakes for this, the panel made a comparison that is probably going to keep a lot of executives up at night.
Oh, yeah.
They compared this exact moment to the 1999 dot-com boom, but with a really major catch.
Which is the speed, right?
Exactly, the speed. In 1999, the ideas were revolutionary, but the infrastructure was it was abysmal. People were trying to build digital empires over dial-up modems.
Right, you had to literally wait for a picture to load line by line.
Exactly. Society needed a decade to catch up. But today, we are taking that same steep, chaotic adoption curve, but we are taking it at 200 miles per hour.
Because the global tech infrastructure is completely built out.
Right. Consumer connectivity is ubiquitous. You don't have to teach consumers how to use the internet this time around. Which means the window for winning and losing a market is closing in the blink of an eye.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because to understand what 200 miles per hour actually looks like, we need to start at the front lines, the digital storefront.
Yeah, what the customer actually sees.
Right. The panelists from Cool Blue laid out something they call the static website problem. And it essentially argues that the way we've built e-commerce for the last 20 years is fundamentally broken.
It is. It's broken because static websites rely on human maintenance. And, well, human maintenance simply cannot scale to the complexity of real-world inventory.
Cool Blue gave a fantastic, concrete example of this, didn't
They
they?
did. Think about how every single year a major tech company introduces the, quote, newest, best smartphone.
Right.
So the moment that keynote presentation ends, the previous model you have sitting in your warehouse is instantly no longer the best.
It's outdated news.
Correct. But on a massive retail website, the phrase, the best smartphone, is baked into, like, thousands of places.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
It's in product descriptions written 3 years ago. It's hard-coded into filter pages. It's sitting in comparison charts.
So trying to find and update every single contextual claim manually is just a complete logistical nightmare.
It's impossible.
So how is Cool Blue solving that? Because just hiring an army of copywriters to hit refresh on the database doesn't seem like a 200-mile-per-hour strategy.
No, it's not. They are mapping out every single job role related to the customer journey. Product editors, tech domain experts, customer journey specialists, and they are analyzing the specific deliverables of those human roles and inserting AI agents to autonomously manage that data flow.
Wow.
But the end game isn't just a cleaner database for a traditional website. The end game is killing the traditional website altogether.
Wait, really? Just getting rid of it?
Yeah. They are moving toward replacing the act of scrolling and clicking with a seamless, personalized conversation with an AI agent.
I mean, that completely changes the metaphor of shopping.
It really does.
Because, like, old e-commerce is sort of like wandering around a massive, slightly disorganized warehouse by yourself. You're checking labels, looking at aisle markers, trying to figure out if you're even in the right place.
Yeah, exactly.
But this agentic approach, it's like walking into that same warehouse and being instantly greeted by a hyper-competent personal shopper who already knows your tastes and has memorized the entire inventory.
Yes, a perfect analogy.
But wait, I have to push back here. If the consumer isn't typing smartphone 15 into a search bar anymore, how does the AI actually broker that transaction? How does it know exactly what I want?
What's fascinating here is the transition from keyword search to intent search. Think about how you and I use traditional search engines. We basically play a game of Go Fish with a computer.
Right.
We type in caveman speak, best laptop sheet 2026, hoping the database has a matching tag.
Yeah.
We've spent 2 decades translating our human problems into machine keywords.
Oh, that's so true. And intent search flips that.
Completely. Intent search is like talking to a master tailor. You don't tell the tailor you need blue fabric, 38 regular.
Right, it sounds ridiculous.
Exactly. You say, I have a summer wedding in Tuscany next month and I tend to sweat. And the tailor figures out the fabric and the cut.
Wow.
Consumers are flocking to this. The panel cited a staggering statistic. By January 2026, large language models, LLMs, had close to 8.2 billion unique monthly visitors.
8.2 billion?
Yeah, that captured roughly 10% of total Google traffic. The consumer behavior has already flipped.
Which introduces a terrifying, invisible problem for retailers.
Oh, absolutely.
Because if you're listening to this and thinking, well, I just sell artisan coffee or outdoor gear, I have a loyal customer base, you still have to worry.
Yeah, you do.
Because if the LLM is acting as the new tailor and the LLM is the one doing the filtering, how do you make sure the AI actually recommends your product?
You've hit on the existential crisis of modern retail right there. It is the survival of the fittest data.
Survival of the fittest data.
Yeah, because standard product data is completely illegible to an LLM trying to solve a complex problem.
The panelists from Miracle give a brilliant example of this. They called it the demise of LLM unfriendly data.
Right.
In the old world, a brand would tag a piece of clothing with pink and jacket. If I search pink jacket, your product pops up.
But nobody uses LLMs to search for a pink jacket.
Exactly. They go to an AI and prompt, I need a jacket for a business event in a cold environment when it's 10 degrees out, and I want to be able to comfortably put a heavier coat on top of it.
Look at the dimensions of that prompt. You have social context, a business event. You have environmental context 10 degrees.
Right.
You have functional utility layering capability. Your old tags of pink and size medium are totally blind to that prompt.
So what is the mechanism here? How does a brand take a physical jacket in a warehouse and make an AI understand its social and environmental utility?
It requires a fundamental restructuring of databases, from relational tables to what we call vector spaces.
Vector spaces. So they're using math.
Exactly. Retailers now have an absolute mandate to make their catalogs LLM-friendly. They do this through intelligent image extraction and semantic data enrichment.
Okay, what does that actually look like in practice?
Basically, they deploy internal AI agents to look at the photos of the pink jacket, read the basic specs, and autonomously write incredibly rich, highly contextual metadata about every possible scenario where that jacket could be used.
Oh, wow. So the agent describes it in high detail.
Yeah, and then they convert that context into high-dimensional mathematics vectors. So when a user asks an external LLM for a layering jacket for a cold business trip, the mathematical distance between the prompt and the product is incredibly close.
That is wild. So if you aren't doing that, you are basically invisible.
Completely invisible.
But let me push the implications of this. Here's where it gets really interesting. If LLMs are intercepting the customer, aren't traditional retailers terrified that their expensive websites will just become obsolete?
Oh, yeah.
Like that a company like Home Depot or Macy's just becomes a dumb fulfillment center for OpenAI or Google?
It is a literal life and death fear for massive American retailers. Because the tech giants building these models own the customer relationship now.
Right.
And this brings us to a concept the panel discussed heavily, which is the data hunt.
What exactly are they hunting for, though? Didn't the LLMs already read the entire internet?
They did. The major AI models have effectively saturated all open public data.
Okay.
So to get smarter, to actually conquer commerce, they were desperate for private data. The panel noted a specific situation with OpenAI showing deep interest in acquiring Walmart's private basket-level transaction data.
Wait, basket level? Why isn't just a list of popular items enough?
Well, because predicting text is not the same as predicting human psychology.
Okay.
Historically, ChatGPT actually struggles to understand how to build a logical shopping basket. If you buy a heavy-duty flashlight, do you also need C batteries, a specific type of tent peg, and mosquito repellent?
Right. The AI doesn't inherently know how humans pack for a camping trip.
Exactly. Private transactional data holds the hidden behavioral linkages between products that you just can't learn by reading Wikipedia.
Wow.
Now, it's worth noting, OpenAI recently withdrew their transactional activity initiatives, which honestly just proves how fiercely complex real-world commerce is. But the data hunt remains. Retailers hold the gold.
Okay, but knowing exactly what the customer wants and restructuring your database so the AI can find it, none of that actually matters if your own house is an operational disaster.
No, it doesn't.
Like, you can't deliver a magical front-end conversational experience if your back-office supply chain is being run on whiteboards and Excel spreadsheets.
Which is where the theoretical abruptly crashes into the logistical. We really have to look at Electrolux's strategy here because they are tackling the physical world.
Right. They aren't just running quiet, isolated pilot programs. They're setting up what they call lighthouses across their global operations.
Yeah, projects designed to be highly visible and guide the rest of the massive enterprise.
And the breadth of these lighthouses is what's really striking. They are deploying agentic AI in supply and operations planning, meaning demand forecasting and logistics in the U.S. They were running agentic e-commerce in Latin America.
And, perhaps most wildly, they're using agents in their research and development department to anticipate how humanoid robots might eventually interact with home appliances.
Okay, I need to pause on that.
It's crazy, right?
How does an AI agent help design a fridge for a humanoid robot that barely even exists yet? What is the actual mechanism there?
Well, think about traditional R&D. Human engineers build a physical prototype and they physically test it.
Right. Which takes months.
Exactly. But an AI agent in R&D can autonomously run thousands of synthetic physics simulations. It can model the exact torque a robotic hand might apply to a crisper drawer handle from like 500 different angles.
Oh, wow.
It can learn where the structural failures are and redesign the hinge before a single piece of plastic is ever molded. It compresses years of physical trial and error into weeks of computational modeling.
That is just wild to wrap your head around. But the panel also threw a massive bucket of cold water on the timeline for these kinds of projects, didn't they?
Yes, they were explicitly clear about the ROI, the return on investment.
The 6 to 12 month rule.
Exactly. This is not a pilot phase anymore. This is a forced march for productivity.
Right, because the cost of compute is too high to run endless science experiments.
Yeah. The panel stated that any AI agent project that takes longer than 6 to 12 months to show a definitive financial return is entirely deprioritized. If you can't prove it works in a year, you kill it.
Which raises the ultimate trap for business leaders right now. So what does this all mean? Can a struggling business just buy an AI agent, plug it into the wall, and expect it to fix a broken supply chain?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, an AI agent does not fix a broken business model.
Right.
If your warehouse routing processes are a mess and you deploy an autonomous agent to run them, the agent is just going to execute your flawed processes faster and with more chaos.
It just automates the mess.
It automates the mess.
So what is the actual formula? Because the panel mapped out a very specific ratio for success.
They did. The panel agreed that successfully deploying agentic AI is 50% fixing your broken foundational processes and data. You have to clean your room first.
Okay, 50% process.
Then it is 30% change management.
Change management meaning the humans.
Yes. Getting your demand planners to actually trust the AI's logistics routing instead of overriding it because they've always done it a certain way. The human friction is a massive hurdle.
Right.
And only the final 20% is the actual technological AI enabler. It is fundamentally a story about deeply refining human operations before letting the machine take the wheel.
Which brings a glaring, deeply uncomfortable question right into the center of the room. We've talked about AI serving the customer. We've talked about AI writing the product data.
Right.
We've talked about AI agents running supply chains and R&D. If the processes are perfected and the AI is efficiently executing them, what happens to the human workforce?
Yeah, that is the ultimate bottleneck of this 200-mile-per-hour transition.
The Miracle executive brought up an internal exercise they ran, and it is honestly intimidating. They called it zero-based thinking.
Right. Usually companies use zero-based budgeting, starting at $0 every year to justify expenses rather than just tweaking last year's budget.
But Miracle applied this to human capital.
It did. They told every department leader to look at their organization completely from scratch. Forget the org chart you've had for 5 years.
Wow.
Look strictly at the actual deliverables your department needs to produce and figure out where an AI agent could act as the brain to support or execute that task.
And when you start from a blank slate like that, the conclusions are pretty brutal. Let's look at a concrete example they gave their own internal labs team.
Yeah, the software developers and the quality assurance controllers. What does zero-based thinking reveal there?
Exactly.
Well, the executives stated that within just 6 months, those specific roles will be completely unrecognizable because AI is now capable of autonomously executing the very first step of software coding.
So think about what a developer's day looked like 6 months ago. They sit down, they write the foundational boilerplate code,
Right.
and then the quality assurance person comes in behind them to manually check for basic syntax errors and bugs.
Right, the traditional workflow.
Right.
But in the zero-based model, the agentic AI writes the foundational code flawlessly in seconds. The developer isn't a writer anymore. They become an editor or an architect guiding the agent's logic.
And the QA role mutates entirely.
Yeah.
Right. Because the AI doesn't make syntax typos.
Exactly. The QA person now has to test high-level logic and systemic integration.
The daily mechanics of the job transformed completely. And here is the kicker. The specific capability for the AI to do that initial coding didn't even exist 4 months prior to the panel discussion.
It's moving that fast.
Human skill sets are being forced to completely adapt, not on a generational timeline, not even year by year, but quarter by quarter.
In previous industrial revolutions, society had a buffer. You had time to retrain from the farm to the factory floor. Right now, you have 180 days to figure out how your role functions alongside an autonomous agent that just learned how to do half your tasks overnight.
It is a staggering reality to process. So let's pull all these threads together for everyone listening. What are the core takeaways from mapping out this new e-commerce playbook? First, agentic AI isn't an optional upgrade.
No, it's an absolute necessity for survival. The customer is abandoning the search bar for intent-driven conversational bots.
Which means your standard product data is dead. You must restructure your catalogs into vector-friendly formats rich with semantic context, or the AI simply won't see you.
Right. And in the back office, the mandate is ruthless efficiency. You have 6 to 12 months to prove an ROI on supply chain and operational agents.
But the golden rule remains. AI won't save a broken process. It is 50% process correction, 30% change management, and only 20% tech.
And all of this leads to a massive paradigm shift for the workforce, requiring that zero-based thinking to understand how human roles mutate when an AI acts as the operational brain.
Absolutely.
But this actually raises one final provocative dynamic that I really want to leave on the table.
Let's hear it.
We talked about the data hunt, the fact that the public internet is tapped out and LLMs are starving for private transactional data.
Right.
But the panel also touched on agent-to-agent protocols. We are rapidly approaching a world where your personal AI shopper is negotiating directly with a retailer's AI inventory agent behind the scenes to make a purchase.
Machine talking to machine, entirely bypassing the human interface.
Exactly. So consider this. If the public internet is saturated, and AIs are increasingly the ones making the purchasing decisions by communicating with other AIs, will the future value of a brand rely less on the brilliant emotional marketing campaigns it broadcasts to the public?
And more on what it hides.
Yes. Will its value rely almost entirely on the vast troves of private transactional data it manages to keep hitting from the global AI models?
Oh, wow.
Will the most valuable asset a company has be the secrets it refuses to share with the machine?
That is a phenomenal thought to end on. In an age of total digital visibility, your hidden data becomes your only real leverage. We highly encourage you to ponder that dynamic, the battle between public marketing and private data, as you look at the digital infrastructure around you this week. Keep an eye out for those lighthouses, everyone. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
That was the first episode of our new TCG Summit podcast series, and the first step into a set of topics that will keep our industry busy for quite some time. We will publish a new episode every first and third Tuesday of the month, each time focusing on one specific theme from this year's TCG Summit in Copenhagen. And of course, we would love to hear your feedback. What did you find useful? What surprised you? What should we discuss in more detail next time? Your input is always welcome. Thank you very much for listening. I wish you a productive week and hopefully a few good ideas to take back to your team. Join us for the next episode on Tuesday in 2 weeks. Bye.